To help us analyze these developments, we're joined by our colleague in the Vatican Bureau, Courtney Mares from the Catholic News Agency. Her reporting often focuses on China and religious liberty violations there. Courtney, it's great to have you. This Vatican-China deal, as it has been called, has drawn regrets from top Vatican diplomat Archbishop Paul Gallagher, as well as others. What is their view of the deal now?
Well, this is the second time in the past year that the Vatican has acknowledged that China violated its provisional agreement with the Holy See on the appointment of bishops. In this case, Bishop Joseph Shenbin was transferred from another Chinese diocese and installed in Shanghai without the Vatican's consent. And now, 3 months later, the popes decided to recognize and confirm China's unilateral appointment of this bishop. Even more troubling from the Vatican's perspective, though, is in the past year, China has created some of its own dioceses, and these have different borders than those recognized by the Church, as was the case with the installation of the bishop last November in the Diocese of Shanghai, a diocese that is not recognized by the Vatican. Despite the repeated violations of the agreement, the contents which have been kept completely secret over the past 5 years, the Vatican Secretary of State, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, said this week that the Holy See is determined to continue dialogue with China and said that evangelization and communication between Chinese bishops and the Pope need to be the topics of discussion moving forward.
Now, Courtney, knowing that, what does this approval of this Bishop Joseph Shenbin tell us about the Holy Father's desires for the Church in China, knowing that it affects the largest Catholic diocese in China?
According to the Vatican, Pope Francis's decision to recognize the government-appointed Bishop of Shanghai was a pastoral decision made to remedy the canonical irregularity in the diocese and for the greater good of the Catholic community in Shanghai, which has been without a bishop for more than 10 years. And we also gained insights this week into what steps the Holy See wants to see from China going forward in dialogue. Cardinal Pietro Parolin called for the creation of a liaison office of the Holy See in China to improve dialogue. And many see this as something which could lay the groundwork for a future apostolic nunciature or Vatican embassy on the mainland.
Your report in late May showed that after his third election, where he was the only candidate, President Xi Jinping continues to be blamed for the deterioration of human rights and religious freedom in the country. You know this very well, Courtney. What are his worst offenses?
Over the last decade of increasingly authoritarian rule from Xi Jinping, and even just in the past 5 years since the Vatican-China deal was signed, we have seen a ruthless crackdown on freedom of expression and religion, arbitrary detentions, and the escalation of repression in Hong Kong. But among the most shocking violations has been the Chinese Communist Party's targeted campaign against Uyghur Muslims in the northwest region of Xinjiang, China, where people have been detained in internment camps, subjected to forced labor, torture, sterilization, and mass surveillance, according to the most recent report by the U.S. government. Among China's Catholic community, we've seen Catholics in the underground Catholic Church experience harsh treatment, with convents destroyed, churches closed, and bishops under house arrest. The government-approved Catholic Church, on the other hand, faces other challenges, including pressure from the government to censor parts of Catholic teaching or to include Chinese nationalism and love for the party into the preaching. And Catholic priests in China are only allowed to minister in recognized places of worship in which minors under the age of 18 are not allowed to enter, something which surely will have an effect on China's Catholic future.
Well, it sounds a lot like what's going on in Cuba as well. Courtney, we'll be watching your reporting on the Pope's visit to Mongolia and why China and Russia are watching that very closely. Thank you so much for being with us.